Good evening. Beaker's Corners in Neptune. Thank you. It's good to be back. It's good to see you guys. And I'm really looking forward to tonight's talk. It does feel really strange to be in all this space.
That's great.
Yeah, it does. So tonight, Joanne Tawfilis is going to talk to us about healing our hearts with mural art. She has an amazing amount of experience with this. She has helped war-torn areas heal from war. She's helped broken hearts from loss. I won't go into all of what she's done. She can do that herself. She is the UNESCO National Commissioner, which I look forward to hearing more about. And her mural art is all about peace. So help me welcome Joanne Tawfilis, and she's going to talk to us about some art.
Thank you. Thank you. When do I did? Oops. Let me go back. Sorry. Well, you know, when we talk about mural art as healing hearts through mural art, as soon as I get this thing back on track, there we go. I'm here because I'm healing as well. It was Barbara Fagil, one of your residents, and one of my longtime 33-year-old long friendship. We worked at the UN together, who encouraged me to come and try this. I'm healing because I lost my daughter on Mother's Day. So she kind of yanked me away and said, you gotta do this. And I have to say that I was crying every day during that first week or two, and I got on this ship, and I've only had tears twice. And it was because somebody called to console me and whatever. But what I feel about your ship, and this is a crazy way to start about how awesome joy I feel, it has really helped me, as I think I've tried to help others through what we do through the years. And it is awesome joy. This is a wonderful family. And I have seen when you need a helping hand, even to carry Barbara's umpteen packages up and whatever, or you got a broken heart and you're coming because of a divorce or a loss in the family, or a family member like myself, or just feeling sad. The best thing to do is keep busy, right? In the arts, and I can't say that it's just mural arts. This is what I focus on. And over the years, I focused on that since I retired 27 years ago. And I'm going to be 80 years old in November, and I got my PhD at 71, so never give up on education. But I'm going to talk about some things that happened and what the mural project has done for me, and what I want to share with you. There's some really neat stuff that's happened even interactively, which I hope will happen with all of you. I probably won't follow all my notes, so you'll have to read the slides. I tried to keep them short. I don't like reading slides when people are reading them, doing the speaking. But the definition of a mural is really a big painting on a wall, but I challenged that because the first mural I got involved with was created by 350 orphans in Bosnia on a bedsheet full of bullet holes. And that's another story, and you can see that on my TED Talk called Painting Outside the Lines, because I really want to focus on you guys. So the definition of a mural to me is painting murals on canvas. And I have painted a lot of murals, but I have facilitated the creation of 12 miles of murals on canvas and about 50 walls, big ones, and I can still climb up scaffolding. But as you know, the historical roots of murals go back to the cave people and hieroglyphs and the pyramids all over the world. As we know, there's a lot of pyramids, not just in Egypt. And the cultural significance about them is that it's an expression, it's a written visual history, and that's why we have UNESCO World Cultural Heritage Sites. And that's one of the roles that I take as one of the commissioners that are flying under the wire, under this administration, to do preservation of national historical sites, because as you know, a lot of them are getting destroyed. And we want to keep that forever and ever, as long as we can, to pass on the roots of where each of us come from, because we're all coming together as a people. And that's the other part of what I like to focus on, is bringing people together. And that's what we do with mural art. And what makes me different in doing mural art is that I don't do all of the murals, or I'd probably be the longest living person in history doing 12 miles of them. So we bring groups of people together, and that's why we now have over 500,000 people who have painted over the 12 miles of murals from over 100 countries. So we call ourselves the Art Miles Mural Project, because what we do, as I said, we bring the communities together, whether they be in hospitals, communities, big organizations. We work with developmentally disabled people, adults, children alike, in hospitals, and we do murals in response to every human and natural disaster that we can. We started doing the school shootings when they first started. We did the very first one, and we are finding it very difficult to keep up with painting in response. What we do when we do these murals, and why I call them healing murals a lot, they're all not just healing murals, is when we hear about 26 children or 200 children or 6 children or 1 even dying as a result of terrorist attack or a mass shooting, we grieve, especially mothers and fathers who have children, because as we all know, we're all starting to think about this could have been our children. So the grieving, when we do the murals in the community, we send them like giant greeting cards to the community in which this happened. So I've been doing this since I retired from the UN, where I made quite a good salary, to annuity. And we donate all the murals, but we donate the money to keep this going. We have no overhead funding. We have all volunteers. We work with senior citizens. We have interns, whatever. And my husband, before he passed away, helped me a lot, gave up his business, and we do this from our hearts. And that's what this project's all about, doing murals from our hearts. So community engagement means that's what we do. We get you involved, and you're going to do that hopefully tomorrow, because I brought all the materials you could ever want to create a mural, and you'll hear about that later. And it's because our voices together represent an expression of joy, of grief, of happiness, of sharing, whatever your passion is. And the murals have lately been used for the parades that are going on. There's anti-war protests, there's anti-tariffs, all kinds of stuff like that, or just expressing something in support of a local town hero. So, did I do this right? Yeah. So it's important, because I could sit here and tell you and talk as a lecturer, which I do a lot, to other people about why and defend murals and why they're different than everybody else's. But it is different, because we don't hire a muralist to do the murals. We bring everybody together to share ideas. Because that's what happened in Bosnia with the first mural that was painted by 350 orphans. They had to come together in the process of, I'll go to the next one. Whoops, no, I won't. They got together to talk about what they wanted to see on the mural, which I will also do with you. And they ended up, after 5 days, talking about what had happened to them during the conflict in Bosnia. And they ended up picking the theme yesterday, today, and tomorrow. And yesterday they did drawings of bombed out houses and people, dead people in the street, little tiny kids, 350 orphans under the age of 18. And then today they had grouped them into groups of 5, and they did caricature, well, they weren't caricature, they were their self-portraits of their new family of 2 adults or teenagers and 3 little guys. And then tomorrow they did the other side, the other third was balloons and flowers and things like that, happy things. And I tell you this because everybody has some kind of feeling in their hearts about certain issues. And for them, when they were going through this catharsis, I had to go outside and cry because they were sharing these horrific stories. But in the end, all those lines of the differences in their ethnic background disappeared, and they had a ball just painting that mural. So that's how it works. We do brainstorming of the ideas. We talk about themes, because I'm going to show you a lot of samples so you don't have to listen to me talking all night. And then working together to come out with a design. So I think I'm supposed to go this way, yeah. So that's why I called it Global Harmony and Healing Hearts, because when I found out the ship was really focusing on global harmony, and I sat in on the safety officer or environmental officer's talk, and that's what he talked about, and I saw the display case in the back of the room, I thought, wow, we really hit it on the head there. And Barbara mentioned that, and she knows that I'm all about global harmony and working in support of the culture of peace. So again, it's the community engagement that helped bring the donations that you guys were donating and providing to the people that you visit in the different ports. And sometimes you need to get also local organizational support. And it's really important, I think, of all things, this is one of the slides that I really enjoy the most, is because I have found that I'm a first-generation American. I'm half Italian. The other half is Filipino, Portuguese, Chinese, and Spanish. My stepbrothers and sisters are Filipino, Portuguese, Chinese, Spanish, French, English, Irish, and Dutch. And I married to an Egyptian before. So the cultural differences, we find out when we work together how much more we have in common than we have in differences. And your ship is so exciting and so inspiring to me that I'm thinking about how I'm going to get on this ship. My next career here or life on ship. So by fostering understanding and teaching each other about our cultural backgrounds, our viewpoints and whatever, we make friends. I've seen the hugging and screaming, it's just so wonderful. I'm so uplifted. And again, I can't emphasize what a pleasure it is to be on board and to witness exactly what I wish. You guys are the microcosm of what we really need out there in the world. So congratulations to you. Don't you think that it's true though, if we all knew each other, we would know how good we are and how all the good things that we've done in our lives that we could share to uplift everything that we do? Because I'll tell you, it works, and it's working for me. This is an example of a school I just finished doing, a school wall. That was a mural that was created by, and it's global harmony because this is one side of the street between two street gangs. And they ended up painting their local ethnic cultures. They had Samoan, Filipinos, Mexican, and all kinds of other ethnic groups are in the middle. In the middle of this mural is a big heart, and it was painted by a young girl who was in the park the day I was trying to lay this out. And I was talking to her, and she said she was drawing this heart, and I said, "Oh, that's beautiful." She said, "Yes, this is the heart of the community." She said, "This park has changed so much." And she said, "And I used to live here, but my mother and father were killed in a car accident, and so they sent me to Tijuana, and when I come back every year to see my aunties and uncles," she said, "I feel the memory of my mom and dad here." And I said, wow, and I made it the centerpiece of that mural. So that's the kind of work that I do. So murals to me are symbols of peace, unity, and healing. Like I said earlier, every time there's a school shooting, a tsunami, all kinds of human and natural disasters, we rush to get community together, whether it be a school or a group of schools. I'm from Connecticut, and when Sandy Hook happened, my granddaughters were just little kindergartners, and I got the whole kindergarten group, 6 classes, and then we got to another school, and we ended up doing 14 murals in one weekend. And then the most beautiful part of it was we took those murals to the state capitol in Connecticut, and the governor called a conference and projected the murals, and my husband animated one of them that was done by children that showed the children turning into angels and doves and stars in the sky, and everybody was crying, but parents came to us and said, thank you, because we know our children are safe and they're thought of. And we didn't realize that someone across the country could think of us and what we're going through. So they're healing for them, and they're healing for us. So the UNESCO Center for Peace for California and Baja, of which I'm also the director of, when I talked with Barbara, and I've been on the ship now for almost 10 days, Barb. I want to share this experience. I wanted to share this before I came, but I want to share it with our headquarters in UNESCO. And I volunteered. I don't know if it's possible to do it, but as you travel, you're going to be traveling to a lot of World Cultural Heritage sites, which is also, again, as I said, one of my passions, to preserve our history. I'm hoping that you will want to be peace ambassadors, because you already are. And maybe you can even do murals here and there to share with them. So hopefully tomorrow afternoon, 2 o'clock, we will paint one, and I'm going to show you one, and I'm going to show you a whole bunch of samples that maybe that's one of the many exercises that you did. I thought I would be sleeping on this ship. Barbara. She has very long legs, and she accused me of walking too fast when we were out on the street. But on the ship, man, I can get from this side to the other side in lickety-split. Especially in the living room where everybody gathers. It's so cool. So think about that. Think of how I see you as an old lady peace ambassador, looking at all you beautiful people, and I see so much beauty from your hearts and how you embrace each other, how you share experiences, how the laughter is out there. Yeah. So that's what I want to do, and I'll even give you a certificate if Kit will allow me to do so. So this is a young lady that we were painting the seawall in Puerto Rico, and she was wearing white. And when we did a marathon in Mexico City with 1,500 kids in one day, the sponsor had them dressed in white. You should have seen it when they left. That's a video. We have 40 YouTube videos online under the Art Miles Mural Project, and that's one of them. And you'll see the kids running off the bus, white t-shirts, white hats, white pants, and I went, oh my God, some parents are going to be really mad at me. But they were sponsored, and the kids loved them, and I've seen some kids, that told me they kept those clothes, So, bottom line, I'm a UNESCO National Commissioner flying under the wire, and the director of the UNESCO Center for Peace, hoping that you guys will join me in this journey. There you go. So I'm not going to talk a lot. I'm going to start showing you some videos. But, to me, home is where the heart is. And this is home now. I keep hearing that. Welcome home, welcome home. But in my cultural center, I don't know who did it, but there's a sign above the bathroom door that says the best place to be is together. Huh? Can you imagine 20 people getting into one of your bathrooms? Well, our guys tried to do that too. It was a little bit bigger, but it was every time we got a big group together, they go, oh, let's take a picture. So there they go into the bathroom. You don't have to do that. You can just help paint murals. How's that? So let me show you the murals. So we'll go to part 2, if I can find it on here. Oops. Do we have the samples, Walter?
Yeah.
Do I have to do that? Or find it?
No. Oh wait, are you doing your second presentation?
Yeah, the second one, the samples.
Oh wait.
It's on here. I'm not used to everybody. Everybody's system is different. But you know, this is a great, I've listened to some great lectures. I've learned so much. I need a new PhD in cruising.
Joanne,
Samples, it says. Yeah.
what is the name of your YouTube page? The Art Miles?
The Art Miles Mural Project.
Mural Project. Okay.
Yeah. And it's you might, yeah, if you Google that, all kinds of things come up on that. Okay, so the very first sample mural I'll show you. This was done by children from France and Spain. Can you guess what they did? By looking at it, I didn't put a title. The wine bottle in the bull. Yeah. They had fun. This is done at the Aquarium of the Pacific. We've done over 700 murals for the aquarium in Long Beach. And we do 25 to 50 murals per weekend, and we have artists do rough sketches, and then the public comes and paints with them together. And that's just a sample. This was done by an Indian tribe in the northeast of the country, the Penobscot Nation up in Maine. And look at the beautiful detail. They've got the animals, they've got the water, even turtles, things like that. And we have there's 12 miles, 12 themes, 440 5x12 murals per mile. And I'm paying for the storage. This was done at Laguna Beach, which is one of the finer arts cities on the West Coast. And they did this during the Sawdust Festival with the public again. Dr. Jane is a friend of mine. She even signed the mural. We have several murals that were signed by her, the Dalai Lama, Sylvia Earle, her Deepness, the Diver Lady, all kinds. I think we have like 30 signatures of really important people who love our project. This is a sample of one of the drawings that the children did that I spoke about from Bosnia. Again, this is one that the kids from Seoul, South Korea did. They sponsored a contest for high school students, and they had to paint shoes to match the mural that they created. And this particular one won the first prize because they wanted to show the history of their country and the violence from becoming North and South Korea, and the children's wish for one country. And we did 60,000 pairs of shoes and delivered them all over Africa and to Vietnam, Cambodia, all these different countries. And I was like really embarrassed because we painted tennis shoes and we went out in boats to these different islands, and the kids were all wearing flip-flops or barefoot. But you know, we had children who painted them, and the students who painted them put notes inside and say who they were, what school they went to, and all that. And they told us later that they enjoyed the notes as much as they enjoyed the shoes. And this is a kind of a micro sample of what one of the gang groups were doing. And the young man on the bottom designed it. And I said, oh, this is beautiful, because I could see some of the details that he did. And his girlfriend said, he has a sketchbook. So I said, can I see your sketchbook? And he said, no, my teacher caught me doodling in it and she threw it away. I thought, wow, yeah. This is a mural during 9/11, the American Red Cross asked us if we could do some murals, and they put out a call to the Red Cross chapters across the United States. And we got like 35 of them within a week that were 30 feet long. That's Miss Teen USA standing in front of Ground Zero. Until they were able to start taking it all down, we had our murals hanging there as a symbol of the grief. Some of the murals were so beautiful where they didn't have paint. They used crayons, and there's one mural that's just doctors, nurses, ambulances, firemen, fire engines. It was absolutely beautiful. And another school, a city actually, used their fingers and they painted flowers, just flowers. They didn't have paintbrushes. So this is a kind of activism. This is a mural. It's a story of a Syrian family who came to the United States as refugees, and they told their stories, and the college students helped them put their story together. How the father was detained, and the only thing they had when they left were photographs, and they disappeared, and they found him again when they found the father a year later, who was released from prison. And those were the children, and it shows what they went through, and they lived. There's a fountain up on the left-hand side, yeah, my left-hand side, that shows that where they lived was a really nice place, and they had a fountain in the square of their home, because people don't know what Arab people live like, and they wanted to know that they had nice homes before all these terrible things happened to their country. It's a beautiful mural. This is a mural that we did for the American servicemen. I live in San Diego near Camp Pendleton, and when the Afghan people were being evacuated, the Marines and there were two Navy people that were trying to help Americans get on airplanes, and they were killed. So the community got together and they wrote their names on the top, what branch they were in, and each candle represents one of the lives, and underneath they know that they were poppies and there were mountains there, so they painted that. And then the Marines came to pick it up, and then we found out from the Rotary Club where we were presenting it that these were the guys that carried their bodies back home when they returned. So all these little arms and legs that happen is amazing. But they helped the families feel better. They hung it up at the base for the families. This is a picture of a school that we did. I wanted to show you that, yes, I do paint murals. There's me, the little person in the white t-shirt down there. So you can see the scale of this thing. And they painted a hero. He was the founder of the school, and she was the first local student to become a teacher at the school. Here's another indigenous mural done by, I live near one of the big 21 or whatever number of missions there are in California, and this is the Luiseño tribe of San Luis Rey Mission. It's called the Mega Mission there because it's one of the earliest ones. And they got together and painted this for their Heritage Festival that they do every year. This mural was done in Pakistan with Afghani and Pakistan orphans. And the girls weren't allowed to paint, so they sewed it together, and the guys put the paint on the dots and wherever else there's paint on there. And it's a pretty big mural, and the My Hero Project shows it every year in Los Angeles. They love this mural. And then we do murals in response, as I told you, to natural disasters. This was from the Pacific shore to the Jersey shore, for all of you New Jersey people. Our community got so upset about the destruction of everything that happened as a result of that hurricane that they got together and they said, what do we do? And they said, here, put my hand, and they traced arms and put that in there like that. Every mural is different. You know, a lot of people say, oh, we'll get the kids together, they could do all the handprints, you know. Those are unique, but at the same time, you know, we want to try to portray even more meaningful, or I want to say more illustrative ones. So we've gotten the kids to do fun things like we lay them on the ground and we trace their outline, and then they paint whatever the theme is inside those bodies that are laying on the canvas. It comes out really nice. All kinds of things, circles, puzzles, everything. And then California, I thought we were the only state that had a lot of fires, but it's been happening everywhere. The Pacific Northwest has really been hit hard with them, and it's happening more and more around the country. But this mural was done by these guys that got stuck and passed away in there. So I did this particular mural, and the people came and put the stars behind it because they hung it in the firehouse now where they remember their colleagues. It has meaning to them, you know. This is an environmental mural that was done in Denver. In 2007, we tried to break the Guinness Book of Records with 3.8 miles of murals, but we didn't win. Somebody had done, it was the Abu Dhabi had painted for International Women's Day 4 miles of women's images of the Sheikha on paper. And then they had to throw it away because they don't keep images. Anyway, that's one of the murals that they did. This is one of the first ones we did out of country in Nairobi. They wanted to do the Big Five. And since I was a head of personnel there living across from St. Mary's School, I convinced them that they should do this. But look at the colors. Look at the pride of the people who live there, you know? It's one from India that we got. They also did, I think they've done like 30 beautiful murals, and we keep getting them, so they love the project. Another one from Korea. In heroes, some people go, Che Guevara is not a hero, especially the teachers. But this is an expression of a group of people that wanted to do this in Paris while we were there. We did an exhibition at UNESCO headquarters in Paris, hosted by the United States, and it was a wonderful exhibition. This one's from Japan. I know you're going to be going to Japan, and I've asked our coordinator to try to hook up with Barbara when you get there, because this mile that they're doing, they've done about 800 right now, and they were going to do the opening ceremonies for the Olympics that got canceled, but they've animated the murals, and what they do, this is one of their major ones, but their project is in coordination with the Associated School Program, which are about 10,000 schools in UNESCO. And they do one half of the mural in Japan, and then another half goes to another country, another school, and they're gorgeous. They paint with different materials, but they're beautiful. This is a room in my Center for Peace, and we came up with this brilliant idea of painting the wall and the ceiling. And it's got tons and tons of this stuff that you put on it that nobody can scratch, which is beautiful. But what it represents is Mother Nature in the background. And I'm glad you can't see it up close because there's a little bit of nudity, and it's not me. I wasn't built like that. But it shows how water is, you know, the life of all beings. And there's a bridge in the middle. You see those yellow spots there. If you stand on that bridge and get photographed, you become part of a mural. Yeah, so it's fun. And we also have drum circles, that's why you see drums there. But what it represents, water is life. It comes down the waterfall, and that little dot where you see the waterfall going into is infinity, or us, the earth. I just thought I'd share that with you, because we do walls too. Speaking of walls, this is part of one of the buildings that I just completed. Another reason I wanted to get on the ship. After 2 years of doing park murals, this is the other gang on the other side of the street. But what I did on this one is we went to the schools. This is the women's power wall, so we put our favorite people on there that represent people, ethnic background from that community. But the other story is, and I'll show you that in a minute, on the other side of should have been. This is one of our most famous American, Mexican, Peruvian artists. Mural artist is Mario Terrero, and he paints the eyes of Picasso all over. And you've probably heard of Diego Rivera and all the other, there's so many famous artists now. And one of the artists that we met, and I kind of I passed it over by mistake, that Barbara and Cheryl and I went to see in Seattle yesterday, is a young man by the name of Yegizao Michael. I called him Michael for 30 years, and I found out that's his family name. We called him Michael, but his name goes by Yegi. And he's done a lot of the public art that you probably saw and didn't know it was him in Seattle, because I didn't get to show you that. But he's got sculptures and paintings, and he did the whole transit center. And he was a refugee in Nairobi, where I was working as head of personnel and the United Nations Environment Program, and I discovered him all those years ago, and now he just tells me he has a daughter that graduated from high school and college. Time. This is one of those murals from Japan that shows half was done in Syria and half was done in Japan. And you see how it even kind of comes together? You can almost not see the difference till you really look at it. This is the wall I wanted to share with you. Where I went to the local elementary schools and I said, what would you kids like to see on the wall? Because we just didn't want to paint what we think they wanted to see. So they turned in these sketches. There are like 300 of them. So I did an exhibition with their sketches and hung them up with clothespins so their parents could see their work. But then the artists took their work and put them into the word hope. So this is what the community does. When you bring people together, the ideas they come up with, it's just, now you know why I'm a happy person. And of course, this is what we wish for. May peace prevail on earth. The Gandhi grandchildren, we've used the murals in our peace parades and with the Gandhi grandchildren. I've been on speakers panels with the grandchildren, and they're still trying to follow up on that legacy. And you know, after over 20 years, 2 decades of supporting UNESCO Culture for Peace, and we end up with worse than we've ever been before in my eyes right now. But I won't give up hope, because you people are here and you're traveling, and you can bring those messages by your example. This is one of the latest ones one of our guys did, and he insisted that I show it because he wants it to be part of the fairy tale mile. And I always said, that looks like Never Ending Story to me, which is my favorite movie. Mm-hmm. And this is when we tried to break the Guinness Book of Records at Barnum Park in Denver. So you can see the scale, and that was only a little over 3.8 miles of murals, because it goes around. Can you imagine rolling those murals? Unrolling them was fun. And one of the other reasons they said we didn't break the record is because they weren't connected to one theme. So, like I said, they did the Sheikah, and now I understand the Chinese gentleman did 13 miles. He had to do 13, right? Of horses. Yeah, single theme. So this is what our aim was before my husband passed away. We paid a lot of bakshish to the Egyptian government for letting us exhibit at the great Alexandria Library and the museum in Cairo. But we had designed a 40-foot super sculpture with thousands of miniature mural pictures on it. And we were printing it on parachute silk, and we were going to light it up for the end of the decade. And that never happened. My husband passed away, and Arab Spring came, and so maybe we'll do it in Mexico, because they're a lot more friendly to American single women right now. And this mural became the piece that we built our first children's book that I'm working on right now. And it's called Building the Pyramid. And the young ladies that painted this, there were 9 of us, had to do the research because they weren't allowed to portray those images because they were Islamic. So they quickly gave it to me and said, please take it out of the country and don't tell them where it came from. You could say, yes, it was done by us, but don't name our school. So my husband extricated some of the images and, oh, Barbara, it's back here. Okay, I'll grab it. Okay. This is what it looks like. And what we're doing is we're making a bigger version of it in hard copy so that the teacher can sit on the floor and read it to the children. And that's who I really want to focus on reaching, is the children, so that they know that they're hoping that we will make peace, because none of them want to live in the world full of conflict and terror. Now I want to show you something that's so much fun. This is the mural I did of Cher. I had her naked, but then I thought, that won't go over very well with parents. So I made her a medieval princess on a horse with dogs. And then she had a new album out with her white wig, so I put that in there. And your very own Barbara did what we call visual poetry. That's what this is on the bottom. So we exploded it so you could try to figure out. Anybody want to try to see what it says? Let me get out of the way. She embedded some words in there. Any guesses? Barbara, you want to tell them?
No, Laura's got it.
Okay, Laura.
Conquer HIV and AIDS.
Yeah.
Conquer HIV/AIDS. Right. So we have fun. This was done how many years now? But you know, we had a hero, a celebrity mile. Now we turned it into hero. So I know that's now a music mile. And this is a mural that I need 2 people, tall people, possibly, to come up. I want to show you something, and Barbara's going to show you something as well.
Okay.
One of my friends went to Hawaii, and she loved it so much, she sketched it, and everybody helped her paint it. You guys just came from there. Just think if you did one of these every time you went to a port. So, what I'm going to show you now is, if you could unwind this. Here you go. One of you, yeah, you take one side. This is what a real mural looks like, other than what's on the screen.
Oh, I love it. Wait, we've got double now.
Oh.
Beautiful.
Maybe you should move forward. There you go. Look at that.
Thanks, Walter. Wow.
See how it looks? The pictures are beautiful, but they don't do mural justice. And if you can imagine having that displayed on your ship in some of the hallways, or donating it to a certain point or something that you visit, I just think this is the kind of work that you guys, I've met some artists on board, and people write stories about them. I mean, you can write music to them. All kinds of things can happen from them. But that concludes my presentation, but I'm really open to any questions you might have. And I think what's going to happen is that Walter's going to just play in the background, just roll some more murals from one of the many murals that are online. Walter, it's all yours. Thank you. Thank you both.
I've got the microphone if anybody has any questions.
Oh, and on some of the tables, there's a magazine. I only had 6 of them with me. I thought I had more. Looks like this. It says O-Cider. And page 40 is the coverage they did of the project we just finished at the park, at the latest park. So I'll put it there. There you go. And I have to tell you that not a single tagging or graffiti has been put on any of the murals that I have ever done. And so you can imagine, 50 buildings in New York City included. Anybody have questions? Yes?
Do these murals start out small and then get scaled up somehow?
Well, we have 5x12 canvases that we pre-cut. I brought 5x9 to make it easier because I didn't know how big the ship was. So, but you're going to be doing a 5x9. And no, it takes on a life of its own. Sometimes people just do one little line and all of a sudden, or they draw like a big heart, or they'll draw a circle. Sometimes they'll say we would really want a puzzle shape because we're trying to get everybody to make sure they put their hand on it. So I'll draw out a puzzle, and then people put what they want inside those, especially the kids. There's so many techniques to do these kind of murals. And that's why while I'm talking, you can see how all these ideas come up. Some of them are very naive, and then we have some museum quality pieces. We had a music teacher that had her kids study the mural and then write a piece of music to it. And then they put it together in a beautiful orchestral piece. It was beautiful.
Question. 2 questions. What type of paint do you use? And
We-
different paints for different.
Okay.
Use. And how do you outline it before you?
There you go. Two good questions. What kind of paint do we use, and how do we outline it? We use acrylics because they're water-based. In fact, I use a paint company that it's all safe for children to use, chemical-free. They actually collect acrylic paint, and they put some kind of, that sounds funny, chemical or process together where they remove that and they just recalculate, whatever, reconstitute is the right word. And they have beautiful colors, just like these, that come out really well. And it doesn't take a lot of paint. I'm leaving you guys with a suitcase, 2 mural canvases, brushes, palettes that are donated by, this is how we do recycling. My husband passed away and my daughter as well, from diabetes, and they were doing dialysis, and they have these blue pallets, I call them, or cartridges where the tubes go in that go from there into their body from the machine. And all the dialysis centers have been donating them to us to use for the children, especially, but I use them for everybody, including you guys will have some, because they're washable, number one, and the kids don't make mud on paper plates with them. So we conserve paint, because I pay for it, or we get donations. Sometimes we'll get PTAs to go out, PTOs they call them now, to go out and get donations of water-based paint, and we put them in bottles and use them that way. But the variety is amazing. The biggest, the most popular mile that we've been working on is environment. And then there's a lot of our murals that could fit 2 or 3 categories, women's environment or children's environment or peace, unity, and healing. So, but we have to separate them so we can have those 12 miles of categories, because hopefully one day they'll be turned into a book. I haven't even had a chance to photograph the last ones in the last few years because I've been so busy. We've been creating them. The demand for them, or the request to do these with schools and organizations, never ends. We do, near my city, we work with an organization called Mountain Shadows Outreach, and they're disabled adults, and their whole interior is covered with our murals, including a 50-foot wall that I did of the clients that were in there during that 3 or 4 month period that I'm a portrait artist, so I put them all on the wall. So, and it memorializes people as well. We've done children's walls, we do children's parties. I have over 100 volunteer artists that live locally, and we use international artists. We go out and we do freshman orientation at colleges and universities, and it's a welcome exercise for new students who have maybe first time away from home and need to feel like they're welcome and part of the community. I have an agent that does that, and that's how I help pay for the paint and the canvas, because I get commissions for that. The first mural that you saw that I did on the school, I got hired by the city to do that as a facilitator, a contractor, but I donated my commission to the artists because they were doing it as volunteers. And that really helped uplift those young people. And in the gangs, the two gangs that we did, I was the one that went to the table and said, how about if you guys don't touch their murals and they won't touch yours? And it worked. Miracles. So again, the colors, you know, we never direct what people want. We let them express themselves. These are some of the Egyptian murals. I picked them out because I wanted to honor my husband who passed away, because he gave up his whole career to do this with me towards the end of his life. And he never had a day of computer training. He owned restaurants. And so when he taught himself how to do this, it's a wonderful legacy for me to be able to share. Barbara met him. So, here we go.
It was one of your honeymoon groupies.
Oh yeah, I'll share that little personal note. Barbara and our other common friend accompanied my husband and myself, 30 people all together on our honeymoon on a cruise up the Nile. Well, you don't know, and watch out for her. She took the honeymoon suite. And we had to walk across with burning feet, the sand, and going, wait a minute, where's Barbara and Louise? Oh, they're in the honeymoon suite. Oh, yeah? They laughed, of course, and gave it up for us. But Barbara will also not probably share this with you, but I'm going to tell. She got taken around Cairo in a horse and carriage by some young man that she met. While I was riding camels, Barbara was riding in a horse-drawn carriage. So, you know, I think it would be fun if you guys did one of these. I love the comedy thing you did the other night. I'll never forget that as long as I live. It was so much fun. And the She Said game. I have so many wonderful memories to take away. But I think you should got to talk to our friend Kit over here. She's wonderful, by the way. And I told her, she's adorable. She's so cute. But when talking to her on the phone, and I'm a muralist and a portrait painter, I pictured a tall blonde with big blue eyes. Instead, she's this adorable little package of energy. She's great. And we had fun talking. And she's very smart and no nonsense. It was, don't tell her anything, don't do this. She told me all the rules, so I hope I followed them.
You're doing beautifully.
Great. But I just wanted to share this. Barbara wanted me to come on and do this. She asked me, and we went through this process of trying to get it all cleared. And I'm so glad I came, and it was at the right time. And like I said, healing hearts, it really has helped me. My daughter suffered a lot, so but anytime you lose a child before you go, it's not a good thing, not a good feeling. But I also know that she's not in pain anymore. And I know she's up there traveling with us going, what are you doing, Mom? There's all women on that boat. But the men that are on this boat are awesome. Oh my gosh, they're so warm and helpful. I congratulate you. I'm going to share a fact that I learned, though, that I don't know if even Kit knows. The lady that did my hair in your salon told me that there's 200 staff crew here, and it's only 25 women. So I said, you know, something's wrong. We gotta move some, you know. That's cool, though, you know. And they're all happy. It doesn't matter, I guess, as long as they're happy, right? So are you enjoying the pictures?
Yes, very much.
And you can imagine, these are all done by normal people, you know. There's no designers on the majority. There's a few, but not very many. we just go in and start doing you can imagine that was Italy with the movie. And the stories that they tell, that catharsis that they go through means so much, because then they can normalize, like, am I normalizing? I think so. But thank you so much. We'll stop there. Yeah. Oh, there's more?
No questions.
Any more questions? How many are going to paint with us tomorrow at 2 o'clock? All right. Please do. And bring an apron or a paper towel or something. Clothes you don't care about.
I thought we had to wear white.
Or your best white.
Yeah.
Best white.
Wear your best white. Well, thank you. And there's somebody
Doing this
raising.
right here. Two
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
When the word AIDS, someone deciphered, I'm sorry, who did it?
Laura.
Laura did it.
You can answer it.
It made me think of that giant quilt that was put together
Mm-hmm.
for AIDS and how cathartic that was for the people that made the squares. And I was wondering, do you know in size how it compared to the miles you talk about?
I really don't, because there's all kinds of other large things that have been made for memorializing things, like even our shoe project with over 60,000 pairs of shoes. Somebody's done more than that with a. Now I can't keep up with my own project of how many. I don't know how many we have. As the end of January, we had over 7,000 miles. The Philippines did 6 miles of environment murals alone. They set up scaffolding in shopping centers, and they cordoned off 36 inches wide, and it was 5 feet high, so they could join our project. And people came and painted in that area, and it's gorgeous. It's all undersea stuff, yeah. And they're not all mermaids. Yeah. And somebody. Oh yeah, come on, Barbara, come out here. Look at her.
I love the jacket. I love the that. So voila.
Come over here. We need you. Need you to light.
Yeah, he made me turn it back on.
The dream around the world.
Well, that's my motto, and it went with her mural.
Yeah. Full jacket.
Now, Barbara.
Now you can see it, yeah.
Now model.
Barbara, would you come over here so Jim can get your picture? You need to sit still, baby.
Put your modeling face on. There you go. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. And thank you for a wonderful time on the trip.